Leeds United have a little bit of a goalkeeping issue, and thankfully, to be fixing it, they do seem to be eyeing up a move for a player that I'll talk about in the coming minutes. But there are a lot of questions surrounding it, and a lot of those questions involve facing the facts about Illan Meslier, which, again, we'll get into in a couple of minutes' time. But the general gist of this is that Leeds United have made an inquiry for a very, very promising young goalkeeper who is playing regular football at his club, decent levels of standard and all that kind of stuff, and is looking like to be a very, very good signing for Leeds United. His name is Noel Törnqvist at Mjölby, plays in the Swedish First Division. I think it's the Allsvenskan, I think it's called, but that's off the top of my head, not even reading it because I didn't think to bring up the name of the league. But he's playing very, very decent stuff. He's a regular in their first 11, which is always a very, very nice sign. And he's still a very young player. He's 22 years of age, very strong prospect, and we're not the only ones that are taking a look at the guy. He's got interest from both Leeds United, which is very good because, cool, it's nice that we're interested in a player that we want to sign, but also the likes of Fulham. And Fulham, we know, in recent years have been very, very good at acquiring players and either selling them on for profit or using them to solidify themselves in the Premier League. Fulham right now are not a side that sign players and end up in relegation dogfights. That's just not what they do. They are too well run for that at the minute. We do seem to be in a little bit of a position of advantage because we can offer them a route to the first team, because obviously we don't really have any first team goalkeepers at the minute. But at the same time, it's not just he's a good player that might cost us a bomb. He's affordable and very clearly of a decent standard because he's being watched by clubs from all over the shop, which is fantastic. However, you got a couple of little concerns. Mjölby, for example, are under no pressure to sell him during the season. I've been chatting to someone who is relatively close to the club, and they seem financially very, very sound, which becomes a little bit of a threat in and of itself. But there are some pretty big questions surrounding the specific timing of the move. And this is where I say we have to sort of acknowledge a bunch of realities around Illan Meslier and the future of goalkeeping at Leeds United. We need to start to face the facts. And as someone that has been turned around in the most recent weeks based on what's happened with Illan Meslier, this is one that I might have to potentially admit in this one. First up, we need to discuss the fact that transfers are very much two-sided things. As much as Leeds United are saying, cool, let's sell our goalkeeper. That's nice. Who are we going to sell him to? Because whilst it's all well and good saying, well, we'll sell him and we'll get this much money, you can't just do that. One, you need to want to sell the player. That part, cool. All of the fans seem to want rid of him. That's a beginning. Part two, you need Illan Meslier to want to go. Illan Meslier is currently on a fairly hefty sum of money because former Premier League player, same contract, it'll have a wage reduction within it, but it's still not necessarily going to be enough for clubs to say, no, you know what, we'll take that gamble. And then three, you need another club to want to make the move. And in recent months, has Meslier done enough to want other clubs to do that? Yeah, sure. You might be able to find some clubs in France that say, look, he's still very young. Could be very good to have him in his home country so he can be a little bit more comfortable and develop over here and become a very good goalkeeper by the time he's in his late 20s. But you do sort of need a buyer. And especially one that is going to, at the very least, give us some financial wiggle room. Yeah, the assumption is keeper from Mjölby is just going to be a couple of £1 million or euros. But at the same time, you need to get that from somewhere else to make it more financially viable. In addition to that, he's not exactly the most sellable asset right now. If you're a club anywhere in Europe that is fighting for something, that isn't just sitting in mid-table mediocrity, it's going to be very hard to make the argument that, yeah, £8 to £12 million on Illan Meslier is a very good investment for us because he's not exactly made himself a sellable asset, which is not good for us, to be completely clear. In addition to that, there is a reason we've got backups. There's a reason we've been paying Caldalo a wage for the last year and a half. Because if Illan Meslier were to get injured and be unavailable and not selected for the first team, presumably Caldalo is sitting there saying, okay, cool, I can fill in that gap. What, in your opinion, does the morale look like in the squad if you are Carl Darlow and you've been told, train really hard and you can be our first team keeper, and then before you've even had a chance to show yourself in the FA Cup, we've signed someone else? You're going to be livid, especially if you're in the position where you've got your Wales teammates around you who also play for your national team, and you can have conversations with them saying, I've been training my arse off and I've been replaced by some kid from Sweden who has never played in the Championship before. In Darlow's position, you'd be pissed. And that affects the morale of the entire squad, so you need to consider the squad dynamics at the same time. In my opinion, when it comes to Illan Meslier, a sale looks relatively long-term. A sale looks like it would come in the summer. It doesn't feel like it is something that is in the very short-term future for us. And it feels like, as a result of that, any replacements that we do sign would be in the summer, because there are barely any Premier League clubs that have 4 goalkeepers on the books. Never mind in the Championship. So, in my opinion, I think Tornqvist is a very, very promising goalkeeper, but if he does sign, I don't see it being in January. I think that would be an issue for squad morale. I think it'd be hard to get done practically in terms of getting Meslier out of the door. I think it'd be very, very difficult for us to get him away from Mjolby because they are currently competing for a European spot and they don't have any initial pressure to sell. And in addition to all of that, there are the questions that have been brought up in the comments. You've likely seen them rolling up, I guess. I thought they were going down, but it seems like they're going up. You've likely seen them pushing up through the screen around various sort of ex-player from Argentina sort of thing, who is 30-odd years old and an international. That feels a bit Carl Darlowy to me. I personally wouldn't sign someone from Argentina to come in for a few months before we sign someone bigger for the long term when we're in the Premier League. Which I'll be honest with you, I think Tornqvist could be that. I think we sign him, he develops under someone else, and then becomes a long-term option as a goalkeeper. But I think if we do sign someone in January, it won't be Tornqvist anyway. I don't see us signing someone in January as a goalkeeper, to be clear. But even if we do, I doubt it'll be Tornqvist. But at the end of the day, as always, that is just what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below or in the chat over here. That's always appreciated. Subscribe if you're not yet, that is always absolutely fantastic, helps the channel push forward. Become a channel member if you've not yet, it's 99p a month and you'll get this video like a day before I'm putting it out. I'm putting it out tomorrow morning from the time that I'm live streaming it, but for members it'll be available this evening. And yeah, hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, subscribe, all the fun stuff. And I will see you later. I heard Natalie Imbruglia sung a song about this guy. Nothing's right, I'm Tornqvist. Off the top of my head. That was a stupid pun. See you later.